Hi there, just testing my audio. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm here for Melissa today. She's on vacation. So I'm Jessica from PPACG.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi. So if you guys have any troubles or need anything during your meeting, just let me know in chat or however I can help. Otherwise, I'll probably just go back and mute and take your minutes.
Thanks for doing all that, Jessica. We appreciate it.
No problem. So if you guys could just remember to state your name when making motions, that way I can get that in the meeting recording and get that in the minutes for you. And mute your mics if you're not talking. Thanks.
Alyssa, I'm here as Connie. I'm going to leave the audio off because I'm sitting on my little patio and our cousins are coming by. So I won't be on the whole time, but I want to hear what I can.
Okay, thanks for being here, Connie. I appreciate it. I'm not sure, I can't see everybody. How many commissioners are on? I know myself, Connie, I see Amy, I see Paula, I see Debbie. Is there other commissioners on I can't see?
I don't think so. I only see 8 participants.
Okay, we'll maybe wait a couple more minutes because we need, oh, there's Kelsey. Hi, Kels.
Looks like you're up to 10 total now on here. People. So
Okay. Yeah, and I see Dayton and Derek on from Silver Key as well. We'll wait just a couple more minutes because we're gonna need I want as many commissioners on as possible to hear this news from Silver Key, and we're gonna have a vote on other issues. I know that Connie, is Dave not gonna be here today? I thought Dave sent us a thing that he's not gonna be here.
I remember him. I remember the email. He said he wasn't going to be around, or he was going to be late. One of the two.
So we're waiting for who? Claire or Mei Ling, CJ, Vanessa, Chuck.
I'm here, Claire.
Hey, Claire. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
It's good to see you in person, Claire. We've missed you.
Yes, we have missed you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you guys. I've missed you all too. Baby's napping, but maybe if he wakes up here, he can come and make an appearance and say hi to everyone.
Okay, I don't want to hold anybody up. We have quite a bit of the commissioners on. So let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, if that's okay with everyone. First, we're going to just, if we could have a consent of the minutes, the agenda and the minutes. And please state your name for Jessica so she can put it in our minutes. Can somebody approve those?
I'll move to
Yeah,
approve.
this is Connie.
Claire. Oh,
That's Connie Johnson and Claire Anderson. Jessica? Okay, I kind of just want to skip right to our guest. I think that's next. We have Silver Key on, everyone. Jessica, I don't know if they gave you information to share the screen, but we have Derek Wilson and Dayton Romero here from Silver Key. They are going to fill us in on their new venture.
Hi,
Hi, Derek.
how's everybody?
Great. Thanks
Great.
for being here.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So before we get to talking, because Dayton and I are talkers, about how much time do we have?
How about 10 to 15 minutes? And if any of the commissioners want to ask questions, we just really want to kind of get a grasp on what you're doing with the affordable housing, where you're going. And I know you and I discussed a letter of support, and just tell us when you need that. And we will put it on, it's on our agenda later in the meeting to vote on that if that's what you are requesting.
Great. So yeah, 2 minutes, you got it. No, I'm just kidding. So thank you all for having us today. We appreciate the opportunity to share about this really exciting news. I'm assuming everyone, I see Kelsey there. Hi, Kelsey. and everything. And really glad that we're able to talk about this a little bit more. I'm assuming that everyone has some baseline knowledge of Silver Key, but just in case, or some of the new things that are going on, I always like to baseline everybody so that we start at the same place. So for those who don't know, Silver Key's been around for more than 50 years now. Many of you were at our gala. Yay. Thank you for being there to celebrate in that way. And, we're all about being committed to making this the best community in the nation to age. We do that by preserving the dignity and independence of older adults, allowing them the choice to safely and healthy age as they choose. And we achieve those goals in a few different ways. Primarily, our pillars are our reserve and dry transportation service, our home delivered meals, including the Meals on Wheels program nutrition service, and then our senior health and wellness area, which provides a whole spectrum of senior assistance from guardianship, wards of the state, all the way to, I have a need, question, or concern for myself or a loved one. Can you help me? We do that. And partly why we're here today is that exciting fourth pillar that has kind of been there, it's been percolating, but the need is now, and Dayton will talk more about that in just a little bit, but housing and housing navigation, all things around that world that involves our shelter needs. And so we announced just a couple of months ago now that we are moving into that. Our board gave strong support that they are all in on offering senior affordable housing to this community. So there's still a lot of details to be worked out. There's going to be a press release soon about our choice in developer. That'll be coming. I have to be careful with what I say and don't say just because of the timing of things. But we're looking at probably about 50 to 70 units. Originally it was easy 70 units plus, but the cost of materials are such that we've had to perhaps scale that back a little bit, but we're hopeful with market conditions that might improve by the time we get to, shovels in ground and that type of stuff. So it's probably no surprise to this group that the entirety of the Pikes Peak region is struggling with senior affordable housing period, right? It's seniors particularly tough because of some of their special, unique challenges that they have. And we believe that Silver Key is uniquely positioned to help with this issue and the needs of seniors in this, whether it's the fact that they're on low fixed incomes, whether it be mobility issues, whether it be getting access, those types of things. And again, Dayton will probably hit on a whole lot more of that. But there's just a whole bunch that's going on. We know that it's a public health crisis, that if you don't have, Maslow's hierarchy needs, those shelter needs, those base needs met, everything else kind of cascades from there. And it's sort of like the dominoes start to fall in a bad way for folks, that they then start to have to pick, choosing between necessities, food, even their utilities, those types of things, or do they keep a roof over their head? And if they keep the roof over their head, how do they afford those other things? So we want to help them to do that because when you think about those social determinants of health, folks that have those things taken care of, their shelter needs met, that they report improved physical, mental, and oral health, all of that kind of, comes together to ensure that whole person care, which is what Silver Key has been about for more than 50 years. So I'm going to pause there and give it over to Dayton, who's going to go in a little bit deeper dive as to what we're doing, the why we're doing it, and kind of the why now.
Thank you, Derek. I think you've covered everything really, really nicely. I think the only things I would really add is to give a little bit of historical context and how Silver Key is plugging in currently, given the crisis we find ourselves in the community. Right now, in fact, we find ourselves really plugging in for a local property, Arcadia Plaza, that was recently bought out. It was a 55 plus community. And that's no longer the case. And rents have been raised at least $600 for folks who, like Derek had said, are only have the income of $700 per month. And so we find ourselves having look to support these clients and finding alternative housing options. And to Derek's point again, is the lack of inventory is and seeing that kind of collide with the income of many seniors we see ourselves supporting with, alongside the sort of requirements that property managers are putting in place of requiring 3 times the rent in order to even be considered to move into a place. That in combination with transportation barriers as well as mobility. A lot of our folks are looking for that ground level, first floor situation, or to have their pet with them. So those sort of things really kind of add on. So right now, we're very fortunate to have a private, we have a foundation fund that allows us to provide emergency assistance funds for first month's rent and late rent. And that's how we really had our fingers on the pulse of this huge need, specifically among seniors, to the point where we really challenged some folks in town. Specifically, you know, there's a coordinated entry and a survey done in the community called A Point in Time, where we get a hard count of the homeless individuals in our community. And before, in terms of their data and who was represented, we found that seniors were underrepresented as a group in this data a couple of years ago. And we probed a little bit further into that and found that there was the highest percentages of uptick was among seniors in our community that were becoming displaced and becoming homeless. And so in that regard, we started doing outreach into homeless shelters like Salvation Army, Springs Rescue Mission, and started providing that wraparound support. So today, again, we find ourselves assisting financially and really carrying through that holistic sort of viewpoint, acknowledging, you know, that idea of the social determinants of health, which Silver Key is really a huge plug-in for in addressing, from nutrition, and this being one of those in terms of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of addressing those basic shelter needs of clients. And so, you know, we're getting as creative as possible and finding, you know, getting creative with roommate situations, partnering with other agencies in town to kind of maximize that opportunity and leverage as the capacity, because it is a very time-intensive process in terms of housing navigation, of finding these alternative placements, and what do you do in the meantime. So those questions have been popping up, in addition to you know, the behavioral health aspect of things in these situations where folks are displaced. You know, they're being uprooted from their communities, from their neighbors who they built rapport with. We've seen people in those homes for decades and planned on living their days out there, and are unable to do so. And so we want to ensure that this experience is as less traumatic as possible, and try to kind of ease those burdens that come alongside that. So in the future, you know, we're again partnering with many in the community. We're very encouraged to see the amount of support from multiple stakeholders in us supporting in this regard and on the housing navigation part. We've also assisted in partnering through home modifications, through grab bars, and utilizing that through, you know, maximizing or optimizing rather the housing space so that they can continue to live in their home, and not, again, having to look to the lack of inventory in our community. So from there, we're really embracing that idea of us championing the cause and being advocates for seniors and their experience and the unique barriers, and kind of bringing those to the surface, bringing visibility and awareness around those unique barriers that our seniors are facing in a competitive housing market that, you know, we have a booming community, rightfully so. It's an attractive place to live. And so bringing what the consequence that has on those I guess subpopulations that have low fixed incomes, and our seniors that have some unique barriers, I think is really an important thing. And we're doing that through Affordable Housing Initiative, through home modification and partnering in that way, and through housing navigation. So long-winded, but I hope that's helpful, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well. I'm sure Derek is too.
Yeah, I would just follow up with a couple of things, didn't hit on it. And I like to say it this way, that though we're going to be doing a building project, this is more than about a building. We're already helping a whole lot of people in a variety of ways with all things housing, those wraparound services piece, whether it's home modification, and that's, you know, resourcing it out in some way, directing folks to partners, whether that's rental assistance, dealing with landlords, providing, you know, guidance on things in the housing space and rental space. So all of those things are part of what we do. So it's really becoming a pillar of service that we do. We're already doing a lot of it anyway, and that's why we brought it forward and said, what can we do a part of this? And so as he mentioned, now was a good time. In particular, a recent article shows that this is from Realtor.com, that America's hottest zip code isn't New York or LA, but in fact, it happens to be 80916 in Colorado. Colorado Springs. So that's where we're at, and real estate here is selling like crazy. And there's a reason why. It's because it's still an inexpensive place in this area to buy and build and things. So although inexpensive is relative, right? So with that said, there's a whole bunch that you can see from our website that I posted in the chat. You can go to. It kind of lays it out like a case, if you will, from how it's connected to the housing domain, the need that's there, those data points. So if you or somebody is rich into that. Our history with housing, we should mention that we've been involved in some way with housing since the 80s. So with the Senior Heritage Complex over by the golf course and different things, how folks can help. And that would really lead us to the part that you asked about, where you're going to be taking a vote later on. I silence a call on my phone. And that would be the fact that we would love it for a letter of support. We're not quite ready for it yet, but if you can kind of make that commitment through that vote now, it would be great to know that when we reach out, it's probably sometime between now and December. And if I had to guess, November, December would be what we're looking at. We would love that. And we can also help provide some templates that might make it easy to kind of take a look at. You don't have to draft it from blank cursor kind of on the page, but rather here's kind of what we would love to have. And so with that, like Dayton said, we'll open up to questions that we're able to answer.
Thanks for all that information. I have two. So I'm sure we're all wondering. And again, I just want to, in case you guys are not aware, we have commissioners on from El Paso, Teller, and Park counties. So my question is this. First, we're going to want to know like what your estimated timeline is. And then with the drastic need, only the 50 to 70 units, any preliminary way of how those will be filled, meaning are Silver Keys clients going to be preferential and go right into there, like your guardianship cases, or is this going to be open to El Paso County residents or all counties? How will that be? Any ideas?
So I can probably take the first one pretty well, and Dayton can probably take the second one pretty well. So basically, we're hoping to get things finalized late 2021, early 2022, and we're hoping to be shovel ready late 2022, early 2023. That's kind of where we're at. Obviously, there's a lot that can go into this. We could get denied on the LIHTC credits that we're looking for, that low income housing tax credit through CHFA. Although CHFA has been a great sponsor and partner of ours, we feel good with it. It's never a guarantee, it's competitive. So it is only a starting point for both us and the overall problem in the Pikes Peak region for this issue in housing. And so there's going to be a lot of competition to get those spaces in this particular housing unit and others once built. So Dayton, do you want to answer a little bit more about how we'll filter out who will get what when?
Yeah, it's a great question. In fact, our approach has been that we're, learning from those around us. Gratio comes to mind in opening the atrium and kind of learning from their experience. We've also, worked really closely with, Chad Wright at Colorado Springs Housing Authority, and are trying to gain an understanding of wait lists and best practices to keep an equitable sort of process maintained as we open that up for folks. So I would say we're learning from others and really pulling from the wisdom of the community and looking to make the best model so people's experiences are good and equitable along the way.
Great.
Cool. Any other questions? We'd love to answer them.
I just have to clarify, if we do a letter of support, it's for CHFA, is that correct?
The letter will, I'm not sure exactly how the template will read of who it's to. Dayton's shaking his head yes. I assume that's how it will read. I'm not 100% how our consultant and our developers will guide us on that process, but I'm assuming that yes, it'll be sort of like, we support them because we think you should, also grant them this 9% rate. So Dayton, do you want to add that? Happen to know further?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. It would be toward CHFA. And I think, a distinguisher again is the land that is right adjacent to the campus that this prospective building is going to be built on. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in that in terms of those wraparound services and the accessibility to all the supports here on campus to us. And I know there's some talks around how do we kind of, again, get that linkage, even though it's a hop, skip, and a jump away, but increase that linkage and have those supports available for those folks who live in that building. So in terms of distinction, and it is a competitive process, I think that is something that really sets us apart of, you know, having something so close to a campus that's full of many supports.
And for the other people that are on, Silver Key also has a food pantry. I know the local people here know that they have a food pantry in that same office complex, and they also have a thrift store, and they specialize in durable medical goods that are donated, whether they're used or new. And they sanitize them and sell them at a really, really great rate. So if any of you other commissioners in other counties need a resource, they are also really great for that as well.
And I would say to those that are in other counties as well, that part of our strategic objectives is to expand our reach. So while we're talking a lot about this housing project located on our campus here in 80916, we're not stopping there with any of the services that we offer. Obviously, it's going to take time and resource to get there, but we have real plans, real discussions about expanding eastward, expanding westward, and so forth to our friends in Teller and Park County. So those are all things that we're looking to do, actively looking to do. So anyway, we just let you guys know that.
To
Other
let you know,
question.
this is Amy Mitchell.
Hi, Amy.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
going to make
Amy.
a comment. Hi there. How are you?
Good.
Just a comment for Park County, because we are 60 miles as the closest to Colorado Springs. I've heard from some seniors that if they go down to the city for medical care and may need to lay over in the hospital for a night or do a little bit of rehab, some short-term option is really hard for them to find, for them and their spouse if they're traveling down to the city for medical care. You know, first of all, their transportation, which, you know, we're working on, but just for them to be able to have somewhere to land for a couple of days while they're going through some kind of treatment before they can get back to the city. So just back to their homes. So just to throw that out there is something that we need.
Yeah, no, it's good feedback. It's good to hear it. I think that a lot's possible with the idea and, you know, bring the need forward and B, the resource to make it happen. So we would be up for the first part for sure. And so we can get creative with that part B of coming up with how we resource that. Dayton, did you have any particular thoughts? I'm thinking on transportation, you know, there may be opportunity there with Reserve and Ride, you know, to look at how that might, you know, look and work, but do you have thoughts?
No, Amy, I think that is so spot on. We've seen that that challenge, especially those who don't have a residence. You know, there's one spot in town at the Salvation Army that lets people, you know, be discharged there for the sake of a safe discharge. But I think in general, given the spirit of Silver Key, I guess the floor planning and some of the reserved spaces that I know that's being looked at and has been, I've actually talked with Jason a little bit about that of what sort of the distribution and the utilization of those 70 units looks like, because there will be red tape around what CHAFA kind of requires in terms of AMI and those sort of things. But where is the flexibility that lets us support those who are kind of experiencing some of things like that, as well as abusive situations and other situations as well.
Yeah, maybe just a short-term, one apartment that is a short-term option, because they make the 60-mile drive down. They need some intensive physical therapy for a week before they can travel back home and do more spaced out physical therapy or something. That is a need. So I appreciate you guys at least putting it in the back of your mind and knowing that you know, if we can fill some of these gaps to where people can return back to their home in the mountains, that is our goal. So thank you.
Amy, and well, the rest of you too. This is Connie. I know when I was managing the Garden Plaza, we did short-term, and there was a fee, but it was very, very minimal. And that had, it had, you know, transportation. There was home health that comes in sight, and meals and housekeeping and all that. And they would do like a daily rate. Now, I can't promise that anymore. I don't know, but I could certainly check into that and see if they're open. Depends on what their census is. There would be a fee, but it's going to be minimal.
That's a great
Right, and that would
suggestion.
probably be easier than them trying to, you know, we
Right.
usually use volunteers to drive people down to the city for medical care because, you know, face it, we understand that we can't have bus service taking people 60 miles.
Right.
The scheduling and appointments and such is a challenge, but you know, any resource that we can keep a list of and
Yeah.
make available to people who are having those challenges, I'd be very grateful.
Great.
It'd be
Thanks,
nice
Connie.
to almost have like a Ronald McDonald House for this type of service for seniors.
Right.
I was just thinking too,
Right.
Paul, house. That's a great idea.
Mhm.
So Derek, I have one more question. You say that the CHAFA funds, this is competitive?
Yeah, it's actually highly competitive to get those funds.
That's too bad.
You got to put in the application and you've got to go through a whole process. There's a huge cost. I'm going to get the number wrong, so don't quote me, but it's like 5 figures to just apply. Dayton, am I right on that? Nodding. I'm pretty sure it's 5 figures, and then you got to present on it. That's why we have a consultant helping us. We've gotten grant funding to help us apply for this this percentage rate. You can go with a lower rate, and by the way, it starts to get into my incompetence real fast in terms of the financing piece. But there's 4% rates that you can utilize, and that's great, but it's not nearly as good as the 9%. That determines like how much it costs to build, how many units then you can build, and you know, it's kind of like when your mortgage rates go up, it's like you can afford less home because you know your interest rate's so high. Well, same type of thing here, only kind of works the opposite because it's a tax credit rate. So it is highly competitive, and they tend to award. This is what we hear. What we hear is that usually Denver area gets like 2 approvals, and down south gets like 1 per cycle. And I think there's 2 cycles per year, if I'm not mistaken on that. So anyway, the bottom line is yes, it's very competitive. Last time we had looked at this, a group in Fountain who had applied 3 times finally got their approval. And so we didn't get ours. We were told we had a strong application. And then, you know, we're just moving forward again with this process, and we take what we learned from the first time and we go forward again. So we grow more confident in our process. There's a lot of competition out there for those doing it. You mentioned the Grescio property, Volunteers of America are doing something as well. So we do think that ours is particularly unique in that it's tied to our campus, and those wraparound services are right here for transportation, for food, for counseling type services, for connection and all those types of things. So we think we have a really strong case, and the community generally is very supportive of this and in this area too. And
I have
Dayton
another-
shared the LIHTC history in his document.
Another question. I know Park County and myself had recently reached out to Silver Key because they had a special needs with one of their people up there. I think Dayton, you might have handled that. As far as, did we reach out to you about one of the people needing car assistance or something like that? It's not that issue that I'm asking about, but does Silver Key ever have like leftover grant monies that could go to maybe some of our other counties besides, or is everything earmarked for El Paso County residents? Or if we had hard cases in Teller or Park County, can we come to you?
It's a great question again. I think in terms of those foundation funds that I'd mentioned, that allows us kind of that flexibility of the first month's rent, late rent. You know, we help with repairs and medication, prescription medication assistance. It's all really on a case-by-case basis. And so there are some sort of, there are strings attached to some funding, but we have a good diversification within our revenue that allows us that flexibility to kind of look out for, especially if someone from Park or Teller is looking for a helping hand, by all means, outreach to us, and we'll be happy to problem solve and see how we can plug in.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's really great.
I would just
Especially-
add to that, our grants manager reports to me, and a lot of times grants are kind of written in such a way, in order to get the funding, like it's for this, for these people, for this amount and this way, and that's how we'll report back. I mean, there's a lot of criteria and parameters that we have to, kind of adhere to, sometimes box in, but she's really good at trying to keep it as open as possible. So we probably do better than most with having flexibility. With that said, there's always higher demand than there are dollars for resource. And that's why we're working on all kinds of ways to make ourselves more sustainable and expand outreach to all seniors so that they understand that when people come to us in need of service, regardless of income level, that if they choose care from us and then can afford the true rate of donation, say for a ride, we ask for, I think it's like $3.50 a ride, even though the true value of that ride is like $33. If they can give us closer to that $33, everything we receive, 100% of all those proceeds go back to supporting more seniors who could not otherwise afford. So we're working on all those types of things and getting that message out that we're here for all seniors, regardless of income level. We don't discriminate on any other basis, and we want to make sure that that they know that.
And how far up does your guardianship team go? Just because I think as we're learning in Teller and Park counties, more and more people, they have moved to those areas to remain in their homes. And so if they don't have relatives nearby, I'm thinking that the need in those areas might be more significant. Right, Amy?
Yeah, and I think guardianship, and I'll try to stay off my soapbox, is a statewide issue and challenge, which is why that legislation was passed in 2017 and getting the Office of Public Guardianship in place. In fact, we're collaborating with them in a statewide initiative of how we get an insight in terms of the need at care facilities and in the broad community of how many people really need a decision maker and don't have that resource. Right now, we're fortunate to have some pro bono case slots open, but we're getting to a place of, those who have the resource. We're really targeting them in terms of offering our supports and services in a guardianship or medical power of attorney capacity. And we're not really putting geographic limits on that quite yet. So again, it's evaluating on a case-by-case basis, understanding that person's needs, and just getting the referral in and us having to take a look. But the reason why I bring up the pro bono versus those who have the means to pay for the service, because those that have the means, and the more of those individuals that we support, the more pro bono services and slots open up for us to also serve on that end as well. So right now we're actually hiring for a guardian. So if you know anyone, send them our way, because we recognize, again, that this is a big need in our community and it's a big need statewide. So we, have been doing it for 35 plus years, and really kind of hang with the best of them in terms of our best practices and standards whenever it comes to being in that really trusted role for a lot of folks.
We have more questions?
I told you we're talkers, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize it. I had questions written down after I knew we were going to have a meeting with you all.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thank you all so much for what we have to say, hearing that message, and then, please, share it with others. And we hope that we'll have your support for that letter. We're not ready to totally receive that yet, but if you're able to vote on it to, kind of confirm that we know to get you what you need when that time comes, that would be most excellent.
Absolutely.
I had one last question, just because I'm in Teller and my program serves Park and El Paso counties. Just curious, has how much you collaborate or don't collaborate with the Teller Senior Coalition. I'm just curious about that.
I'll defer to Dayton if he happens to know, because I don't happen to know what we do with them or not.
We've the Teller County Senior Coalition. Is that what I'd heard, Paula?
Teller Senior Coalition. Mhm.
Teller Senior Coalition. So I don't really recall us being too involved with that, and I would love to participate or have a representative, because again, I know Derek had mentioned in earlier conversation of us expanding, and right now we're really in a learning phase of kind of where are these pockets of needs, and really boosting our cultural awareness of the dynamics in these different geographic areas that we need to be aware of. So I would most definitely welcome an invite. I'm always looking to learn more. We do try to collaborate across the board and try to be a part of a lot of community initiatives. So would love an invite or information on that, Paula.
Great. I'd be happy to share that with you offline.
And that goes for Park County Senior Coalition as well, based in Fairplay. And we also have one based in Bailey, but I think that they link up more with Jefferson County than with Teller County, because we're so spread out. But I will talk to Jenny, who runs the Senior Coalition, and ask her to reach out to you and develop a rapport and a communication channel.
Sounds great. Thank you too so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate all the information.
Great. Well, and I hope you all have a great rest. It's a hot one out there today. They said a cool down's coming, so hopefully by this weekend it might be a little nicer out.
All right, well, if anyone has anything, you can just send it directly to Silver Key, or if you have any folks with needs, and like they said, they're happy to address it on a needs by needs basis. Yeah, we're happy to share any of those folks with you.
All right, well, we'll take off. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. Does we have any more public comments from any of our commissioners before we move on?
I do know that there are other organizations out there looking to do senior housing. Grescio, he did mention there are still others. And I'm just dismayed that the CHAFA money is competitive because the need is so great. I don't know if we'll have other groups coming to us asking for our support. Just be aware of that.
Well, and I don't know of anything that would not allow us to support each and every one of them, because every one of them is totally necessary. So I feel like we can all discuss it as a group, but the more that they want to plan in here for our seniors, we could probably lend our support to every single one of them if they came forward.
That's a good point.
The last number I had heard, and this might be outdated, but that we were lacking 28,000 affordable units for seniors specifically in our community. And that's probably even a couple of years old now. And, we're getting there at 500 units at a time, or 60 units at a time, or whatever the case may be. And so I would agree that I think that, we could support all the valid, projects for sure.
Okay, moving on, everybody. Information. Okay, the membership committee. Connie, are you still on? Okay, if Connie got off. Oh,
No,
okay,
I'm on.
Connie, will you talk about, is Leilani, are you on, Leilani?
No, I text her and asked her to get on, but I know she got the link, but she's not on. So I don't have her application with me. So if you have it in front of you, maybe you could talk a little bit more about her.
I do not have it in front of me, but Leilani Bancroft is,
Well, I know
she
Paula
works
can-
up at the,
Paula
oh,
knows.
Paula, do you want to fill us in on Leilani?
Leilani is the marketing and admissions person at Cripple Creek Care Center. She has also worked in the Department of Social Services here in Teller County for years. She has an extensive senior background and interest in advocating for seniors in all different areas. And it was my recommendation for membership to speak with her. And I unfortunately missed the meeting, but I understand she was well received.
She was a rock star.
She was.
She also has worked for Department of Human Services for El Paso County and APS. So she's done a lot of things, and she's passionate. She's a rock star. She fits in with this group.
Right. She's
It's
just
all rock
this
star.
powerhouse that
really
just likes
is.
to get stuff done. And she's very excited to represent the Cripple Creek Victor area for us. She's very excited we had talked to her about how we're really trying to build this strong alliance in Teller and Park because you all are so close to each other. And she had told us that she tried to reach out to Park in the past and wasn't well received, but we also understand that there's new leadership in Park County. And so she was very excited to jump back in and reinforce all those alliances and share information and whatever you can all share up in that corridor. So
I would like to make a motion that we accept her as a new commissioner.
I'll second that.
I'm in as well.
Please, who was the first and second by name?
Connie Johnson was first. Debbie Swanson is second.
Thank you.
Do we have, we need a quorum for this. I'm Elisa Santos. I say yes.
Yes.
Amy Mitchell, yes.
Paula Levy, yes.
Debbie Swanson, yes.
Vanessa Cole, yes.
Chairman, yes. Mary Anderson, yes.
There we go.
Connie, can you just reach out to her and tell her that she was approved and we
Well.
will fill her in?
Yep. I will do that right now.
I think she's going to be very excited.
I think so too.
So next is Policy Committee, Vanessa. What is new? Or Claire, Vanessa, who's ever filling us in.
My button was not buttoning. Okay. We are, what is new is pretty much the same, but for more updates. So we're still attending Colorado Center for Aging meetings. And we're starting to put together an Excel sheet or some kind of tracking for us to use within the policy subcommittee. And then we'll be figuring out a way to communicate that information to the rest of the group. Also, should that be needed, because we did discuss that, like whether or not you actually wanted us to fill your ears with, HB 1570 or whatever. Up to you. Or maybe we could discuss that as a group, what you want from that.
Well, and I was on the SRC meeting as a couple of us were this morning, and they spoke this morning, the CCA.
Mhm.
And when we did break-off groups, my group specifically with Kelly Roberts was discussing, I think a lot of people expressed that they want to get involved in advocacy, but they don't understand it. So we suggested that maybe when CCA holds the advocacy meetings, when they share information with you, they almost do like a Cliff Notes version of what the bill is meant to do, what its aim is, to take out some of that legalese so more people understand it, and then we can all freely discuss it because we'll have seen that easy speak. So they are bringing that to their board meeting. So you might see that on the next advocacy meeting. I don't know, Vanessa.
Okay, that's awesome.
I actually asked for legislation for dummies, a book.
Right on. I second that.
Okay. Well, so that does help me a little bit with what you maybe want from us. So we're going to talk, I think, next week and get into some more specifics. But so I think we should have something at the next meeting to kind of we'll just be wrapping up what happened this year.
That'll be great. So you could just put it in like
Mhm.
a synopsis for us, like,
Yep.
this is who the bill's intended to
Mhm.
help. This is
Mhm.
who they're aiming at. If there's
And then-
anything we need to lend our support for,
Mhm.
please get with us in a timely, even if it's not at a meeting time, send it out and be like, hey, we need everybody, all the commissioners' support, or we need a letter of support, or whatever you need from the rest of us.
Mhm. Perfect. So that's the policy update.
Okay, as far as a chair report, I have a couple of things snippets that I saw in the news. So I'm sure you all probably saw this too. The city received a grant, and downtown at Colorado and East Kiowa, they're getting ready to do like a 1.5, I think, $billion a safety and accessibility of the sidewalks downtown. It's going to widen the sidewalks, new downtown shuttle, safety for bikes and scooters. So that was just like kind of an FYI of what's going on. I also saw that the Union Printers Home has been sold. It will not be senior housing again. It was bought by 8 families. One of them is the Liu family, a philanthropy family. So they have not decided what they're doing with the campus yet. And it said in the article that those plans will come out in the new year. So I know that we had thought maybe there was a possibility it was going to be senior housing. It's not. As far as CCA, everyone heard them present to SRC. I've reached out to them this morning and they will be talking to us. They are our guest speakers next month for September, because their main mission is, they've always been Denver centric. They are trying to collaborate with the other counties. They want to know what the needs are in other counties. They are very super excited that the commissioners from these other counties are starting to attend their advocacy meetings, because it's less of us trying to repeat all this information. We're all on these, you know, how we're all with Silver Key, we're all with them, we're all together. So that's really helping to them. So they are launching a Voices on Aging Advisory Council. I will be going to the meeting next week and maybe becoming a member of that. For that specific reason. That is what this subset is going to do, voices from other counties. And I had talked to them this morning after the SRC meeting, and they would be, once I attend my first meeting, they may be interested in having the commissioners from other counties be on, so you can speak firsthand to what the issues are. I told them what we're experiencing is, it seems like all the counties have like the same 5 top issue. Affordable housing here is more people go to communities, but what you see in Teller and Park is they stay at home. So it may be the same issue as housing, but it looks very different. So they would like to hear from all of us what we're seeing across, and Teller and Park can speak to the rural communities and what the needs are. And so I will keep you all updated on that. And whoever wants to attend that, following that, I'll have some more information once I go to the first meeting. That is all I
Can I
have.
jump in?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Amy.
I've been participating. It's a pretty heavy lift for me to dedicate 4 hours a month to CCA. But at this point, I think I've shocked them a bit with just the transportation challenge for Park County and the rural areas within Colorado, where they've got to go to a metro area for a medical or even non-emergency medical services. And we've got to figure out how to get somebody 60 miles through a volunteer with a voucher and coordinating, because you can't really carpool more than one, because doctor appointments aren't fixed, you know, in time and such. And I think they were very shocked at the difference in that and what they do in Denver, just making a bus available to drive around. And so I think they're becoming enlightened.
That's great, because I told them you have very different needs than what we experience here. Yes, there's unincorporated areas of El Paso County, but you don't see that. That is not it. That is not as, and as if that becomes too cumbersome for you, can you and Jenny Danner set, like, kind of one of you
Oops.
Getting frozen today there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's frozen.
She'll pop out. Come on, come back to life. There you go. You froze.
I did? Okay, I said, if you can't go, maybe Jenny Danner can help represent Park County. Is that a possibility from
Yeah,
Senior
we're
Coalition?
gonna figure out if we can team tag.
That's me again.
Yeah, we're gonna figure out if we can team tag the meetings. I just wanted to get more of a feel of what they're doing. They're looking for legislative issues to try to push through 2022. And so I'm happy to at least give them what they need to be able to get through the legislative session. And then my workload increases quite a lot with trying to deal with county legislative issues that affect all the counties and such, but we'll figure it out because I think they are worthwhile.
And one other issue that we brought up with CCA this morning in my breakout group was I've been talking to a Woodland Park police officer about the legal issues with some seniors, but I had seen it when I was in housing. So there's also an issue, and she told me it would have to change from the way the state laws are in law enforcement. So suppose you have husband and wife in a rural community and they can't, there's no money or whatever, for whatever reason, they've remained in their home and the family's a caretaker. One of them has dementia. There's a rise in domestic violence cases. Now, not only can the family not afford that, but the spouse is actually getting arrested and they're dealing with legal woes. And she told me from a law enforcement, there's no way to like lessen the charges or not charge because they are diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's. And I was talking to her and she was just like, that's something that would have to be changed from a state perspective, about that law enforcement would be able to charge differently these spouses that are suffering from a diagnosed case of Alzheimer's, dementia, paranoia with those things, Lewy bodies, something like that. But this is really devastating to families that this has happened to. They can't afford the legal costs. Now mom and dad has a criminal record. So that's something that we wanted to get we wanted that discussion even to happen from a state level.
And I've trained our Woodland Park police on dementia first responder. I have a training I do. And I've even talked to the File for Life people to see if there was a different color of File for Life that could be on the fridge that would say there's a
Dementia?
person in here that has dementia. It's so prevalent, and they do have to approach those people differently. And I have another story up here from a family that I was working with. They were both had been drinking, and she called 911 because she thought she was being raped. They actually took her to the ER, did a rape test. I mean, the whole thing could have been completely avoided if the officers would have been trained. So it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
So Paula, is that something that we can even reach out? I know that the fire department training center is down here in the Springs. Is that something that even if we reached out and posed that question, like how can we differentiate? Can we get something going?
Yeah, and I've and Cheryl Schuer and I both could offer that type of training. I've trained Cripple Creek, I've trained Castle Rock, I've trained our fire, but that was and that turnover is pretty high, so it would have to be like an annual or every couple year training so that you get the new officers in. But I know Cheryl has done first responders also. I'm sure we'd be happy to team up to do something like that or get that in front of who needs to hear about it. Because just like you have, this house has got pets, it's
right.
This house has a person.
Child friendly, or yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's great to get that training, but are they looking to do some kind of legislative work on that?
That's what we were posing to them, Debbie, is
Yes.
some kind of, that's why we were pitching that to the Colorado Center for Aging this morning, because it's more prevalent. It's just that we don't talk about it. But when, you know, since being in housing, I had experienced a lot of cases of it. You know, I was hearing it from this Woodland Park police officer, but, you know, we've heard it here, and I've done some work with APS, so I've heard it there too. So I think it's more, you don't hear about it until like somebody tells you this happened to a family member or something, but there needs to be some kind of, not loophole, or some kind of special, like if dad has Alzheimer's and he strikes mom, I've had them where.
There she goes again.
Amy, did you have something?
Well, I just want to say that our EMS and sheriff department probably would be interested in at least getting information and some best practices, because our seniors, we don't have any rental. We don't have apartments in Park County. Everyone lives in a single home, and they respond to calls, EMS and sheriff alike. And it would be very valuable, even if there was a list and we could do a Zoom training or something, a best practice and what to look for and how to handle it. I mean, our sheriff is awesome, and he has got a level head and can see through to a challenge, but he may not be that cognizant of really where dementia falls and how to really understand it and know how to deal with it. So we would be grateful for that in Park County.
Yeah, I see it kind of like a two-pronged approach we need to have on this. It is perhaps a legislative issue. Well, it is, but we can't let that be enough. We really should get more training out there. So whatever we can do as the commission to support that, let's take an action on it.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Between Paula and I mean, Paula has connections to Paula and Amy in their counties. I have some connections to the training academy for both the fire department and for CSPD. So I think, you know, that would be, I'll reach out and see what their response is. And I agree, it's much needed, even when they're going in and 911 is accidentally called, because
well, this is frustrating. No, Paula, I especially like your idea of changing the file for life color, having a different file for life color.
Yeah,
and that
they
could be
were
legislated.
Yeah, I called the company, and they didn't even snap at that. They didn't even get that. So, but you know, the first responder information that I have is I mean, it's so simple and it's so practical, and you think of when you're going out searching for someone and people are, you know, hollering and yelling their name, instead of when you're looking for someone with dementia, you're not yelling their name because they're going to be hiding. They're going to be thinking they're in trouble. So instead you're going, Fred, hey, you know, how you doing? And then they're going to be coming towards you instead of going, Fred, where are you? And because they're going to go deeper and hide and go down to the ground and think they're in trouble, instead of, you know, doing a greeting like, and I just applied that to my dog who ran away. So it's practical on so many levels, because if you're yelling at your dog, they're going to keep going. But if you're like, come here, I got a treat, you know, they're going to come after you. So
some of them don't even know their own name.
Right. So.
But I love the file of life. I know that when I was in the community, even families would put on the refrigerator, not just the file of life, but they would make alerts themselves and stick it to the refrigerator, like allergic to penicillin, like big, bold, like neon. Or, I mean, I think we could, you know, that would be even helpful for families if they did that, like Alzheimer's or Lewy
Yeah.
body dementia or something like that.
Just a person with memory impairment lives here, or so you're
Right.
not labeling just like, a person living with dementia lives here, or just
Right, memory
something.
impairment or something like that. Yeah, but I think, yeah, I'll see maybe if we can get an appointment to talk to the fire training down here, Paula, and I'll
I'd be
take you
happy to.
with.
Yep.
So that's all good stuff. Our discussion items are, I know that we had revised the bylaws, and what we decided on, we talked about our executive committee meeting, but this is it comes from a great place. Innovations on aging, no matter what that looks like going forward, we wanted them to have a seat at the table because they are leading changes in the Springs, and they're getting ready to do their second half of what their pillars in Colorado Springs. So regardless, so for instance, Claire is supposed to come off in December, but really either Claire or Mei Ling or an associate, somebody from Innovations on Aging will stay on indefinitely as an anchor on the commission to always have a voice to tell us what's going on in the community and things we're working on. So we're going to need to vote on that. We revised it, or we're going to revise it, and we just need to see how everyone thinks about that going forward.
They hold the research that we really need for making any kind of decision. I think any commission on aging, regardless where they are, if they had a research arm, they should have a permanent seat at the table, no matter what the name is. So if you have to further define it, saying we always will have something like Innovations in Aging, I think that would be appropriate, but going ahead and specifically name them should not be an issue, because it is the purpose of research that we need them. So I'm all in support of it. How's that?
Everybody else? Claire, I know what you're going to say.
Probably, I was going to say, I will abstain obviously from voting. But I think another reason why it is a good idea to have someone from Innovations or Age Friendly is because the initial Commission on Aging that was at the city of Colorado Springs was created through the Age Friendly plan. It was one of the #1 recommendations, I think, of all of the 8 domain areas in the initial plan from 2016. And so I think just being able to keep that connection with Age Friendly, I think will just be important moving forward. And we're really going to need this commission as we take on this next 5 years of Age Friendly. So I just think, yeah, having that connection, I think, is really important. But I can abstain. I will be quiet over here from now on.
Claire, do you have extra copies of that so we could get them to our Teller and Park County commissioners about the purpose and all of that, so they can have them for their records?
I'm out of like actual physical copies, but it's on our website. I'll put the link in the chat if that's okay. And then so you can see the 2016 report, the midway report, the final report, all of that good stuff is on our website. So I'll send a link to that.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Do we have any no's on the revision of the bylaws about Innovations in Aging having a permanent seat?
No. I mean, no, there is no notes. This is a good thing. We want to keep them on the table.
I'm a yes. Amy Mitchell.
That was Connie Johnson that said yes.
Kelsey in the chat says yes. I say yes.
That's Debbie Swanson. The chat was Kelsey Heermans.
Nessa says yes.
Just need to hear from Jessica. No, Jessica is not a voting member, is she?
Vanessa and Paula.
Paula said yes.
So did Vanessa.
Okay, so that also passed unanimously. Our next discussion item was, we already heard about the letter of support for Silver Key. They're gonna send us a template and we will get on that in a timely manner when they tell us it's ready, when they need it. Jessica, do we have any board items from PPACG?
I don't believe so. I don't think there's anything. There was
Okay.
anything related. Does Melissa normally update you on anything or?
Just if there's anything that we need to know coming forward from the board, or
I don't think there was anything of note from any of the aging groups that went through the board this month. So standard transportation, greenhouse gas, stuff like that.
okay. Does anybody, any of the commissioners have any announcements they want to share with any of us, or if there's things that, is there anything going on in Park or Teller County that we should be aware of, or that you want us to come to or support, or?
I can't think of anything right now.
I can't think of anything either. We're hanging on to the last bit of summer and trying to enjoy it before the snow flies. So I think our plate's not real full right now. But I will check with Jenny Danner of Senior Coalition and see if there's anything she wants you guys to know, and have her update you if there is.
Perfect. I just wanted to say, I thought today's meeting was great. This is the most vocal I've heard all the commissioners. We have a really great, new, strong team. And I just appreciate everybody's taking a role and just coming back with information and sharing these resources. I feel like we're getting more aligned, like I said, with Silver Key, with our commissioners and our other city managers and the CCA. I think we're becoming a really strong information of resources and information to each other. Also, the CCA had told me before, if you have anything you want to highlight from your county, what they're looking for is what does Teller County, or what does Park County, or what does El Paso County do really great for seniors that we could share on their website. So then maybe people in other rural communities are like, hey, maybe we can tap into that or emulate that. So when any of you talk to them, that's what they're looking for, is what we can kind of share with them of what is working, what have we found that's working great, or challenges, and maybe not just bring a challenge, but solutions as well. Jessica, I see that our next meeting is September 15th. I know it says hybrid, but I guess that'll depend on how things are going, right? As far as
yes, as of right now, we're planning for hybrid, to where you have the option of joining us finally at PPACG, or same thing as you've been doing on Zoom. It does give you both options, unless something changes. We're mandated by the law or whatever.
Right.
It's about that way. So, but anyway, you can plan to come to our building as of right now, and we'll let you know. We send out those meeting materials the week prior. You usually see those come from me. If you have any questions or concerns about that, definitely send it our way and let us know.
That's great. And then our executive committee meeting is the second Monday of the month at 11 a.m. So anyone who attends those, we'll see you there. Does anyone have anything else? Vanessa, it looked like you were going to say something.
I do have something else. I wanted to, I'm in a geropsych research lab. And so I have a couple of research projects that I thought the group might be into. I could only find the details for one. So that's what I'll focus on. But I have a fellow researcher that's looking at specifically spousal experiences of caregiving for dementia, looking mostly at like how does it work to lose someone twice. I mean, that's sort of a very high level description, but essentially that's what she's looking at. So if you have anybody that caregiver support that I could pass this along to, or that you could pass this along to, I would love to send it out to the committee, but I wanted to say something verbally first.
I would say Paula has been a longtime expert in this.
Send it to me, and I'll include it in my newsletter, because a lot of our former family members still stay on our newsletter, and I know someone they will be able to help you.
Awesome. I would love to do that. That's great. Thank you so much. That's what I had.
Anything else, anyone we need to talk about, think about? Claire, when is Innovations next part 2.0 starting?
Yeah, so it'll start in 2022. So
Okay.
maybe I was thinking I'll run this by the executive committee at some point. We're really trying to sort of plan out what the rest of 2021 looks like, so we can hit the ground running at the beginning of 2022. And so I'd love to be able to share with the commission sometime sort of all the pieces that kind of make up that road for us to launch at the beginning of next year. But we will need, everyone, folks, to sit on the 8 domain committees. And our plan is that from I think March to April, and hopefully I have that right. I'll clarify, but I think March through April of next year is when we'll want those working groups to meet to write the actual 2.0 action plan. So hopefully all the things that we're doing this year, we're working on an age-friendly community survey that we'll want to launch this fall. We're working on the Better Aging Civic Index with the National Civic League that we'll want to share some of that information as well. We're going to do that this fall. And just some other pieces. We're doing a social return on investment study with the Colorado Institute for Social Impact. There's a number of kind of important pieces for us that we want to finalize or make happen this fall, so that we can take all that information and that data and compile it in the most user-friendly way possible. Give it to the folks that will be working on each of the domain committees, the domain working groups, so that you have that great information and resources to help create the goals and action items for the following 5 years. So I guess keep an eye out for more information, and I'll be hopefully sharing some more information soon. But March, I looked, and it is March of 2022 is when we'll want to start the working groups. Seems like forever from now, but it'll come faster than we know it, I guess.
And one last thing I wanted to mention, I know it's a little early, but Connie is coming off of the commission in December. So we're going to need a vice chair. So if anyone's interested in that, please, we can discuss it. I just wanted to throw that out there now in case anybody would be interested in taking that role when Connie goes off.
It doesn't have to include the membership chair. It can be separate.
What is that?
I said it doesn't have to include being the membership chair.
What do you mean?
I mean, you could just have a vice chair without being, I'm both the membership chair and the vice chair, but you don't have to do both.
Oh, right.
Want to scare people off.
Right. Somebody else can take over membership. That's too much. Well, if there's nothing else, ladies, we will go. And I don't think there's any gentlemen on this meeting, are there? I think it's all just, okay. So we can go ahead and adjourn. And we will see you next month.
And Elisa, I just want to say thank you for remembering the more rural areas of the COA, because we feel valued, and it really means a lot to us being separated from the city center, to know that you really are trying to figure out how to help us, and we are grateful.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask Silver Key, because when we went to bat for that one family in Park County, they did have extra funds and stuff. And so if that's available, we want it to go to a family. And does it make a difference if it can help Teller or Park County, or we have somebody that can't pay their rent? We want you guys to reach out to them. We're just asking where the money is. And if it's there, we want it to go to an aging adult. So we will keep you in the loop, and that's why we're connecting you all to the CCA. And if you guys are on the advocacy, then you're never out of the loop for information. And I just think this constant information loop with all of us is just going to be really powerful. I really believe that. Because between all of us and where we've been and where we're going, we know so many people and resources and connections. And we say, oh, there's a problem, like me and Connie, she just reached over and said that to us at the picnic, and like both our wheels are turning. We're like, okay, there's Mount Carmel, there's Silver Key, there's blah, 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 blah. And then Silver Key, and then money. And then you reached out to them and helped them from Park County. So, I mean, it's a little piece of all of us, like giving them a little hug and being like, it's gonna be okay.
And they were very grateful. So it was awesome.
Great. That's what we want.
Thank you so much. It was a great meeting.
All right, ladies.
Yeah.
Appreciate all your.
See you soon.
See you later.
Bye.